Most men believe marriage is the finish line. You win her heart, you put a ring on it, you build a life together. And in your mind, that means the battle is over. But the truth is, that's the moment the real game begins. Because marriage doesn't guarantee respect. In fact, for many men, it's the slow death of it. At first, she looked at you like you were the center of her world, confident, decisive, unpredictable, the kind of man who made her feel safe, yet thrilled at the same time. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. You stopped being the man who led and became the man who followed. You started playing it safe. You stopped taking risks. You traded edge for comfort, strength for stability. You thought that once she said, "I do," you could finally relax. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you relax, she starts to retreat. It's not that she stopped loving you. It's that she stopped feeling you. Because respect isn't built on routine. It's built on polarity, that magnetic tension between masculine direction and feminine emotion. And when that polarity dies, attraction dies with it. See, most men confuse peace for respect. They think keeping her happy, agreeing to everything, never starting conflict will make her love them more. But women don't respect men who chase peace at the expense of power. They respect men who can stand firm in chaos, who can hold their frame when emotion storms through the house like a hurricane. She doesn't want another child to manage. She wants a man she can trust to lead. And the irony, most men lose that leadership not because they're weak, but because they care too much. They start making every move through the lens of her approval. They stop acting like a man with purpose and start behaving like a husband trying not to upset his wife. That shift is subtle, but deadly. Because here's the cruel psychology most men never understand. The more you try to earn her respect through compliance, the more you lose it. The more you seek her validation, the less she values you. Women don't fall for men who orbit them. They fall for men who move with gravity. So when she stops respecting you, it's not random. It's not because of communication issues or falling out of love. It's because you stopped embodying the masculine energy that made her follow you in the first place. This video isn't about blaming women. It's about exposing the psychology of what really kills respect inside a marriage and how to reclaim it before it's gone for good. Because marriage doesn't end when love fades. It ends when respect does. Every man enters marriage with the same illusion, that once he wins her love, the work is over. That once she says yes, the chase is done, the pressure is gone, and the storm finally settles. But that's the trap. Because the second you stop chasing growth, she stops chasing you. The comfort trap is the silent killer of masculine energy in relationships. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, subtle, almost invisible. It starts when a man trades his hunger for peace. He stops leading, stops taking risks, stops doing the things that once made him magnetic, the things that built his confidence, his strength, his mystery. He thinks he's being a good husband. He thinks predictability equals stability, and stability equals love. But women don't crave stability. They crave security through strength. There's a difference. Security doesn't come from a man who never changes. It comes from a man who keeps evolving, who can protect, provide, and lead even when life gets chaotic. And the moment you stop evolving, the moment you choose comfort over challenge, her respect starts to decay. See, comfort feels safe, but it also makes you invisible. You stop surprising her. You stop inspiring her. You stop being the man she looks up to and start being the man she tolerates. You become her emotional furniture, useful, familiar, and unnoticeable. And here's the part no one tells you. Women don't lose respect when you fail. They lose respect when you stop trying. When you stop fighting for yourself, for your mission, for your purpose. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel like she's standing next to a man who could conquer the world if he wanted to. Even if he chooses not to. But when she sees you sink into routine, When she senses you've stopped growing, her instincts whisper, "He's not the same man I fell for." And that whisper grows into discontent, distance, and eventually contempt. It's not about her being ungrateful, it's biology. For millions of years, women survived by aligning themselves with men who had direction and drive. Comfort signals stagnation. Stagnation signals danger. That's why she gets moody, cold, or distant when you settle into complacency. It's not random emotion. It's her subconscious testing your strength, asking, "Is this man still capable of leading me?" So, if you've ever wondered why the spark faded, why the tone of her voice changed, why her respect vanished even though you did everything right, this is why. You fell into the comfort trap. Marriage isn't where you stop chasing, it's where you start evolving. Because when a man stops growing, his woman stops following. Not out of rebellion, but out of instinct. Comfort kills respect, and respect is the oxygen of attraction. Without it, everything suffocates. At the core of every romantic relationship lies one undeniable force: polarity. It's the magnetic tension between masculine and feminine energy. It's what makes her drawn to you, what makes her respect you, what makes her feel something when you walk into a room. But here's the harsh truth. Most marriages die the moment polarity does. When a man forgets who he is, when he trades masculine direction for emotional dependence, he kills the very dynamic that made her fall in love. In the beginning, she was drawn to your presence. You had focus, ambition, mystery. You didn't ask for permission. You made decisions. You carried yourself like a man who knew where he was going, and she felt safe being pulled into your orbit. That's what polarity feels like. Masculine certainty meeting feminine flow. But over time, many men lose it. They start asking instead of deciding. They start explaining instead of leading. They stop being the gravitational center and start revolving around her emotional world. And here's the part most men never understand. The more you orbit her, the less she feels your pull. Because feminine energy isn't attracted to comfort. It's attracted to direction. When she senses you've lost that, when your focus shifts from purpose to pleasing, she instinctively starts to test you. She becomes colder, more argumentative, more emotional. And instead of standing firm, most men crumble. They try to fix her feelings, talk her out of her moods, or overcompensate with affection. They think love will restore balance. But love without polarity is just friendship. You see, polarity isn't about dominance or control. It's about energetic leadership. A man in his masculine leads with calm authority, not with words, but with presence. He doesn't need to demand respect. He radiates it. When he walks into the room, the energy shifts. She feels grounded in his strength because he doesn't react to her emotions. He absorbs them, stabilizes them, and stands tall through them. But when that disappears, when he becomes emotionally volatile, needy, reactive, she feels something terrifying. She feels unprotected, not physically, but psychologically. That's why she starts pulling away, because deep down, her instincts scream, "He's no longer the rock I can lean on." She may still love you, but love without respect turns to resentment. Polarity isn't optional. It's the invisible current that keeps attraction alive. And when it dies, she doesn't just lose interest, she loses trust. So, if you feel her pulling away, it's not because she's changed, it's because you have. You stopped being the grounded, decisive man she could follow, and the second she feels that, she stops feeling anything at all. The death of polarity is the death of respect. And without respect, there is no marriage. Only a contract between two people slowly forgetting why they ever came together in the first place. In the beginning, everything about you was unknown. Every word, every glance, every silence carried mystery. She didn't know what you were thinking. And that uncertainty electrified her. But over time, familiarity crept in. She learned your habits, your reactions, your weaknesses. She knew exactly what you'd say before you said it, what you'd do before you did it. And slowly, the mystery that once made her pulse race turned into predictability that made her feel nothing at all. This is the silent erosion of respect, not through arguments or betrayal, but through routine. Men often confuse comfort with connection. They believe that by being open about everything, by oversharing, over-explaining, over-communicating, they're strengthening intimacy. But true intimacy doesn't require exposure. It requires depth. And depth is only possible when there's something left to discover. When she knows your every thought, every routine, every weakness, she stops wondering. And when a woman stops wondering about you, she stops desiring you. See, women are emotional creatures. Their respect isn't logical, it's felt. She respects the man she can't completely predict. The man who surprises her with his growth, who keeps evolving in ways that force her to keep learning him. That's why mystery matters. Not as a game, but as a presence. It's what keeps the relationship alive. It's what keeps her leaning forward instead of leaning away. But most men lose it. They become too accessible, too emotionally available, too transparent. They confuse honesty with exposure. They believe being a good husband means never keeping anything to themselves. No secrets, no silence, no solitude. But here's the paradox. The man who tells her everything kills her curiosity. And the man who leaves some things unsaid keeps her imagination alive. Because women don't want to know every part of you. They want to feel there's more of you to uncover. That's why familiarity is so dangerous. It slowly shifts her perception of you from mystery to monotony. She stops seeing you as the man she chose and starts seeing you as part of the background. The man who's always there, always available, always predictable. And familiarity breeds not just comfort, but contempt. She starts nitpicking, testing, disrespecting. Not because she's cruel, but because subconsciously she's trying to wake up the part of you that once fascinated her. But most men fail that test. Instead of reigniting their mystery, they explain, justify, or beg for understanding. They try to talk her into respect, when what she really wants is to feel it again. You don't talk your way out of familiarity. You evolve your way out. You create distance through purpose, through new pursuits, through silence that carries confidence, not fear. Because a woman doesn't crave a man who's always there. She craves a man she can't quite figure out. And the moment you stop being that man is the moment she stops respecting you. Every man grows up believing that if he provides, if he works hard, pays the bills, protects his family, he'll automatically earn his wife's respect. It's what society tells us. It's what our fathers modeled. But here's the paradox. Providing isn't the same as leading. Most men enter marriage thinking that if they become dependable, consistent, and loyal, that's enough. But over time, they start to notice something strange. The more they give, the less she appreciates it. The more they provide, the colder she becomes. And it's not because she's ungrateful, it's because she's human. And human psychology doesn't reward predictability. See, in the beginning, your value wasn't in what you gave her. It was in who you were. You had ambition, drive, a sense of direction. You were chasing something bigger than her, and she respected that. She didn't fall for your wallet, she fell for your purpose. But over time, most men lose that focus. They trade their mission for maintenance. They stop leading and start managing. They stop moving forward and start circling the same routine. They think the relationship is built on comfort. But women don't crave comfort. They crave certainty through strength. A man who provides but no longer leads is like a ship anchored in the harbour, safe but motionless. An emotionless man slowly loses her respect. The harsh truth is this. Women respect men who make them feel like they're part of something moving, something with direction, energy, momentum. When you stop pursuing your purpose and make her your purpose, you unknowingly kill the dynamic that made her admire you. Because when she becomes your mission, she feels it, and it doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. She feels the weight of your validation resting on her shoulders, and instinctively she starts to pull away. That's why so many good husbands, the ones who work hard, provide, stay loyal, end up disrespected. Not because they failed, but because they stopped evolving. A woman doesn't respect what you give her. She respects what you represent. And what you represent is a man with purpose, with edge, with drive. A man who leads himself first, and in doing so, naturally leads her. When you provide from that place, she feels secure. But when you provide out of fear of losing her, fear of disappointing her, she feels suffocated. It's not the providing that kills respect. It's the lack of polarity behind it. You were never meant to be just her provider. You were meant to be her leader. The man who keeps evolving, keeps pushing forward, keeps growing. Not because he's trying to impress her, but because it's who he is. A man on a mission doesn't lose respect. Because respect isn't earned by what you give. It's earned by what you become. There's a moment in almost every marriage when the power quietly shifts. At first, she looked up to you. You were grounded, decisive, calm under pressure. But slowly, something changed. You started reacting, explaining, pleading, trying to manage her emotions instead of leading through them. That's the moment leadership dies. And once leadership dies, respect soon follows. You see, women don't test men because they enjoy chaos. They test to feel safe. A woman's emotions are like waves. Powerful, unpredictable, and ever-changing. She doesn't need you to calm the ocean. She needs you to stand tall while it crashes. That's what gives her trust. That's what earns her respect. But when a man starts absorbing her storms, taking every outburst personally, apologizing for feelings he didn't cause, walking on eggshells to avoid conflict, he becomes emotionally submissive. He stops being her rock and starts being her reflection. Whatever she feels, he mirrors. Whatever she says, he defends. And deep down, she starts to lose faith in him. Because emotional weakness isn't about crying or vulnerability. It's about reactivity. It's about needing her approval to feel stable. And when she senses that your emotions depend on hers, she stops seeing you as a leader and starts seeing you as a liability. Think about it. When a woman tests you, gets distant, moody, or dismissive, most men panic. They chase. They over-communicate. They pour out affection, hoping to win her back. But every time you do that, you teach her one thing. You'll abandon your masculine center the moment she withholds affection. That's not love. That's emotional dependence. A man's greatest power in a relationship isn't in his words or his income. It's in his emotional control. When you can remain calm, grounded, and confident in the face of her emotional storms, she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels safety. That's why arguments don't destroy relationships. Instability does. When she screams and you stay grounded, you're showing her that you can handle life's chaos. But when you scream back, defend yourself, or crumble under pressure, she feels like she has to take the wheel. And the second she feels she has to lead, she stops respecting you. Men fall not because they're too kind, but because they're too reactive. They give away their emotional power piece by piece until there's nothing left to anchor her to. If you want to regain her respect, stop explaining yourself. Stop reacting to her moods. Stop chasing emotional balance through her validation. Lead through your energy, not your words. Because the man who can't control his emotions will always end up controlled by hers. And once that happens, you're no longer her man, you're her project. When respect dies in a relationship, most men make the same mistake. They try to talk their way back into it. They think if they explain how much they've done, remind her of the sacrifices, or prove how loyal they've been, she'll suddenly see their value again. But respect doesn't return through logic. It returns through transformation. You can't convince a woman to respect you. You have to become the man she can't help but respect. And that begins with one thing: detachment. Not coldness, not bitterness, but emotional independence, the ability to stand on your own with or without her validation. Because as long as her moods, her reactions, or her approval dictate your peace, you're not leading, you're following. And no woman respects a man who needs her to feel powerful. So how do you reclaim that power? First, rebuild your frame. Your frame is the invisible boundary that defines who you are and what you tolerate. It's the energy that says, I'm not moved by emotion, I move through it. When you stand firm in that frame, calm, grounded, focused, she'll feel it instantly. Even if she doesn't say it, her body will respond, because respect is visceral. Second, return to your mission. Remember who you were before her, what drove you, what challenged you, what lit you up. A woman's respect is tied to a man's direction. When you drift, she senses it. When you pursue purpose with intensity, she aligns with it. Stop orbiting her and start orbiting your vision. The moment you do, she'll feel the polarity shift. The man she used to lead becomes the man she can follow again. Third, reignite mystery. Not manipulation, mystery. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop announcing every move. Be less predictable, more spontaneous, more unavailable. A man who has things going on beyond her comprehension instantly becomes more magnetic. You don't need to vanish. You just need to have a life that doesn't revolve around her. Let her wonder again who you are becoming. Let her curiosity replace her criticism. Finally, enforce standards. Respect and boundaries are twins. One cannot exist without the other. If she crosses a line, address it once, clearly and without emotion. If she disrespects you, withdraw your presence instead of your words. When you stop reacting and start responding with quiet consequence, the power dynamic flips instantly. Because here's the truth most men never realize. Respect isn't given because you demand it. It's given because you embody it. When you lead yourself with discipline, purpose, and strength, her instincts recognize it, even if her pride doesn't want to admit it. And over time, that recognition turns back into admiration. Not because you begged for it, but because you earned it again. By remembering who you were before you forgot.